man chained himself to an iron bed in order to gain the superpower of invisibility, then injected a mysterious potion. As the blue potion flowed in, he instantly felt unbearable. The tingling sensation on his body made him twitch continuously. Immediately after, the man's skin began to deteriorate, and his heartbeat and pulse became abnormal. In no time at all, the man's veins and organs appeared, and even his bones disappeared, becoming one with the air. Henry was a famous scientist in the biological world who was inspired to create a mysterious potion to make people invisible when he spied on his neighbor in the shower, and the empty cage swaying in front of him is his work. The only way to see the invisibility afterward is through a thermovision device. Just recently, Henry also researched a recovery potion. As long as the potion is injected into the invisible gorillas, the bones and organs will grow through the bloodstream and eventually return to their original form. This research was enough to revolutionize the world. Henry approached the president and said he wanted to use the experiment on a live human being, but the president refused and threatened to replace his work with the military. Henry decided to hide it and experiment on himself first. With the ingestion of the invisibility potion, Henry has successfully acquired the superpower of invisibility, but his other side was also exposed. He openly molested his female colleagues, and late at night, he would sneak into the surveillance room, not only ruffling the hair of the duty officers, but also unbuttoning her buttons to do something. When the woman woke up, Henry went right back to bed. The woman suspected that she was having a nightmare, but Karen, who was going to the toilet, was in trouble. As soon as she squatted down, the nearby toilet turned on automatically. Karen was so scared that she immediately took out her heat vision device. Maybe Henry was watching from the corner, but that didn't satisfy him. Henry flirted with his ex-girlfriend Mary again, taking her coke and putting it somewhere else while she was doing her experiment. Mary took it as a joke from Henry. However, he intensified the situation and not only ruffled Mary's hair, but also secretly kissed her. Mary was so angry that she ran away. 2 days later, Henry's experiment expired. His colleagues were about to inject him with a recovery potion. They sprayed blue spray on the air to find the blood vessels when injecting. As the orange spray continued to flow in, Henry's blood vessels began to appear, but he's just halfway through his recovery when the discomfort returns, leaving him unable to breathe. The feeling of being on the verge of death made Henry struggle violently. The fat colleague tried to help control it, but was punched away. Luckily, after resuscitation, Henry regained his breath, but he also returned to his invisible state. In order to stop Henry from committing crimes, the guys thought of another way. A straw hangs in the air. The woman poured the mask on top of the air, and the shape of a human head appeared. The co-worker next to her brings a fan to blow dry the mask, and thoughtfully cuts out toys on top of the mask. My God, there's an invisible, transparent person under the mask. Just yesterday, Henry injected the recovery potion but had an accident on the way. He almost lost his life, and the recovery experiment failed. Since then, the side effects of the potion have become more and more obvious. He also vomited transparent feces from time to time and became irritable. At night, he ran out to enjoy the fresh air of the outside world, despite the objections of the staff on duty. When the kids next to him saw Henry in his mask, they all said he was a weirdo, until he took off his sunglasses, scaring the little kid and shouting for his mom. Before they could react, Henry took off with the gas pedal. When he got home, he met the girl next door who was going to take a shower. He looked at himself in the mirror and took off his gloves, and had an evil thought in his heart. Meanwhile, Mary got the news and found Henry's house. When she saw the mask left on the bed, she realized that something was wrong. When she leaves the house, she feels that something is staring at her. Her co-workers are ready with weapons to retrieve Henry, but before they could leave the house, Henry returned to the lab, threatening that he was just going home to get something. The gap between them grows wider and wider. Feeling the benefit of the doubt, Henry is obsessed with a beautiful woman, but his co-workers have prepared heat vision devices to keep an eye on him. Henry had to think of other ways to sneak out. He pretended to tell the duty officers that he had to do some experiments, and then quietly replaced the videotape of the thermovision device to give the duty officers a false impression that he stayed in the lab. But he went to his ex-girlfriend Mary's house, but saw Mary and Jack together. After returning to the lab, Henry gets angrier and angrier, and even takes it out on the lab dog. It's not until the next day at work that Lily discovers the dog dead in its cage. She confronted Henry and was molested. Henry would sneak out every night after that. At home, Mary often felt a chill down her back. She picked up the sheets to test the waters. Henry, who should have been exposed, ran away immediately. Realizing something was wrong, Mary went back to the lab. She used her hands to test it carefully. Sure enough, it was Henry in the house, and that image on the thermoviewer was just a videotape he had changed. Mary immediately told her colleagues about her discovery. All the recent strange events came to light. They told the military about Henry's illegal experiments, not realizing that the invisible Henry had seen it all. In order not to lose his achievement, Henry first cuts the phone line of the president's house and pushes him into the swimming pool when he comes out to make repairs. A man with the power of invisibility has evil thoughts. Henry developed an invisibility potion which, when injected into the bloodstream, makes a man become one with the air. Not only can he peep at other people's toilets, he can even enter the house of the beautiful girl next door. Henry has been getting more and more aggressive and even started to kill people in the lab. His ex-girlfriend didn't let him get away with it and went to the president to complain about him. But Henry knew about it. He took the opportunity to push the president into the water. Before the panicked guy could call for help, Henry dragged him into the water and drowned him alive. It wasn't until the next day that Mary got the news that the president was dead. She knew it was Henry's doing and was just about to alert her colleagues when she realized that the lab's code had been changed. Everyone is being held captive by Henry. He's fallen in love with the power of invisibility and can only be safe if he kills everyone who knows about it. So he begins a sophisticated hunting program. He first targeted Karen, the ugliest looking girl, and sent her to be strangled to death with a thin rope. Henry officially declared war on the radio, stating that he was about to become the new hero of the League of Legends. Mary realizes that Karen is nowhere to be found, and by the time she finds out, Karen has already become a cold corpse. Lily was shocked by the scene in front of her. The once close-knit team begins to implode, but the priority is to catch Henry and get out of there. They're all heavily armed, but finding an invisible man in a huge lab is like looking for a needle in a haystack. He took the opportunity to attack the fat man. Jack shot the pipe. The heat from the pipe made him unable to locate Henry. He was knocked out by his punch, but Mary saved him at the critical moment. But Lily on the other side is not so lucky. She was locked up by Henry in the storeroom. In order to find him, Lily chewed up the blood bag and spread it all over the floor, and then pointed the gun at the air and cursed. But after a few tirades, no one responded. Just as she was about to leave, a familiar voice came to her. The next moment, she was knocked down by the air. Lily immediately bit through the blood bag and splashed him all over. Even if she could find Henry, but the strength above is not his opponent, was Henry backhanded anesthesia shot. But even so, Henry did not give up, but a twist of the hands directly killed Lily. At this moment, Henry is like a walking ghost. At the same time, the people in front of him were just lambs to be slaughtered. After a few rounds, Mary was the only one left. Before they could escape, Henry slammed the door and set the freezer temperature to -40 degrees. No matter how much she struggled, it didn't help. On the other side, Henry started to make his own explosives to destroy the place. On the other hand, Mary had the bright idea to connect the wire to the iron, energized it, and made a simple magnet to open the door. She made a fire for Jack to keep him warm and decided to arrest Henry herself. Just before he is about to flee, Mary turns on the flamethrower and burns the smart Henry to a crisp. He runs and undresses, and soon he's hidden in the air again. Mary triggers the fire extinguisher, but Henry still sneaks up on her. Luckily, Jack arrives at the critical moment and knocks Henry to the ground with a stick. But just as they were about to leave, Henry suddenly grabbed a crowbar and charged at him. Henry was electrocuted to death. Mary and the two of them also escaped before the explosion. This is the 2000 American thriller movie Hollow Man. A man invented a mysterious potion that can make people invisible and successfully turn himself into a transparent man. But the side effects of the potion made him very irritable and turned him into a murderous demon. He not only likes to peep at beautiful women in the shower, but also likes to molest his female colleagues and even drowned his own boss. Knowing the truth, his colleagues started to fight back and finally subdued him. This story tells us that those who can be invisible may not be heroes, but may also be murderous ghosts. Even if you have superpower, but without a kind heart, there is only one end, and that is death. I am Zero Sense Film. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.